This is the EWN Podcast Network.
Welcome to Late Boomers, our podcast guide to creating your third act with style, power, and impact. Hi, I'm Kathy Worthington.
And I'm Mary Elkins. Join us as we bring you conversations with successful entrepreneurs, entertainers, and people with vision who are making a difference in the world.
Everyone has a story, and we'll take you along for the ride on each interview, recounting the journey our guests have taken to get where they are, inspiring you to create your own path to success. Let's get started. Hello. Welcome to Late Boomers. I'm Kathy Worthington. Today, our special guest is Siquoyia Blue, multi-talented singer, songwriter, entrepreneur, author of 4 books, filmmaker, actress, and host of the Blu Alchemist podcast.
And I'm Mary Elkins. Despite being told that a career in music was not possible for her, she persevered and released her album titled Limitless, which is now available on all streaming platforms, and it's really terrific. She's also created a dating card game called Dating Assassins, which we're really excited to hear about. Welcome, Siquoyia.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you.
Tell us about your background and how it led you onto the multifaceted professional path you're on today.
Oh man, crazy story. I mean, I started singing at 12 years old, and that's because I was getting bullied so bad. And I said, well, you know what? When I started to sing, the Isley Brothers and all types of artists, the bullies didn't bother me as much. And then I said, let me just keep singing this because I'm enjoying this, and the bullies aren't bothering me. And I fell in love with music. I started falling in love with all types of sounds and just learning different styles of music, intertwining and also breaking the rules, like as you would say. And I started taking music seriously at 14 when I realized, oh, you can make money from this. Because before it was kind of like, oh, I'm just singing and just having fun. And then when I realized, oh, I think actually I want to be a singer. I don't really care about school because I didn't pay attention. I had ADHD. I didn't pay attention in school. So I just thought I wasn't going to go to college or something. I said, well, music will save me. So at 14, I started taking it seriously. And at that point, I was like, okay, well, how am I going to get to the studio and stuff? My parents didn't really quite understand it. They didn't really understand that career. So had to wait till I turned like 18 or 19 when I released my first single, Chocolate Man. And and it's funny because I wrote it myself at 16 and I put out at 18, 19. And Chocolate Man was like a really odd song for the music industry because it wasn't as melodic as what we're used to, but it was something fresh for me. And it was expressing, like my love for dark skinned men. So that's why I was like, I have to do this song. And so I put it out. I got a lot of attention, and I didn't know anything about marketing back then. I didn't know, because like I said, I didn't know anybody around me that was an artist. I was just winging it. And at the time, I had on MySpace, I was getting some attention from that song and a song, some vocals I did with some rappers. Like I sung some chorus and stuff, like the what do they call it? The ad libs and stuff. So yeah, So I did that. And so I was getting attention because he had the money and stuff, and I was getting attention from that. And at that point I was like, okay, I'm trying to figure out how I was going to explain it. But at that point I was like, all right, so let me let me try to get my own music going more, get it pushed. A lot of labels, like some record people, was looking at my music in the industry, and they just didn't understand me. They wanted me to go with the pop sound. They wanted to push me to like a Rihanna because she was coming out at the time, and some new pop artists that were coming out. And I just wanted to be myself. So it was kind of hard to find my way with that. But it all turned out great when I did my first album, Limitless. I worked with a great producer, Real Soul, he's based in Atlanta. So he actually produced my first album. And that was my first time getting my music on streaming platforms like Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all these great sites. And it
Yeah.
turned out like I started getting like a lot of people streaming and stuff, checking it out. I didn't, like I said, I didn't know marketing back then. So I wasn't like pushing it 100%. At that time, I'm like, oh, I just got to get a record deal. That's all I got to do because that's how I'm going to live. But it just didn't work out that way. I kept running into sharks, people that were trying to, say, hey, bring your sexy panties and I'll listen to your music and stuff like that. So it was tough for me, So I was like, man, you know what? And then they wanted me to be somebody else I didn't want to be. So that's when I said, you know what? I'm just going independent. So when I turned like 25, 26, I just kept that independent vibe going. And I was able to release my singles like Champion and Player Hater that I released the last few years and stuff like that. And then get my own recording studio where I can record at home and I don't have to depend on going to a studio with a man or someone that's not going to respect me or, I just wanted to be in my own element, your own energy. So it turned into that situation.
Yeah.
And then I said,
it's tough to be a female. Tough. Yeah.
It's
trying to
tough.
forge ahead being a female.
Especially if you don't have anybody in your family or anybody that is doing music that is going to help you. Like you meet people, but they're just for themselves, which is fine. That's just the way the world is. So I was like, all right. And at that point I said, I didn't know I had other talents besides music, but when I turned 26 and got into tech, that's when I was able to really invest. I was able to put money into my own projects and get things out there. And it was amazing. Like people say focus on one thing. And I do think that's good for some people. But for me, getting in tech changed my life. It was like my record deal. And it taught me, it prepared me to even be a better engineer as a music engineer and to learn how to mix and do things that I need to do to be a better artist and well-rounded as an artist. So that was like
great.
that pivotal point.
What about your work as an author? And you are, you said you're an engineer and an actress and a model. I don't know how you do it all. How did that happen?
Yeah, I skipped that part. So when I was 20 years old, actually, when I couldn't get to the studio, couldn't afford it. I was working at the airport 5 an hour, and this didn't make a lot. I was like, I need a way to release my creativity, because I can't release music back to back the way I want. So I was at the airport. And I remember I was a wheelchair assistant. So I was watching people get off the plane and I saw this gorgeous woman. I was like, man, she's so pretty. She got her life together. She got these cool bags. That's so cool. And for some reason, I thought of a story around her. I thought of a whole book. And so I went home and started writing about her based off what I thought her life was. And that's where we came up with A Woman's Chocolate Appetite Equals Enslavement. Now I changed the name to Dark Obsession, but it was called that. That was the first title. And then I said, you know what? Let me.
It's a romance, right?
It's a romance novel thriller.
Is it a romance?
Yes.
It sounds dark. Yeah, it's a little bit dark.
That's what I'm saying. It's really kind of dark. It's a thriller. It's a thriller book. And my thing was, I was a novice writer. Like all I knew was I could put out a story, but editing was not my forte. So my first book, I didn't do very well as I wanted because I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know that it mattered as much. I thought if it was readable, you can understand it, I'm good. No, that's not how it works. So that's why it's re-edited now. I had found a very good editor, John Riddle, very good editor. He's a boss. And so he fixed it for me. And then I was able to put out Sammy Bean, my children's book, which did phenomenal because that one was edited, correctly. So Sammy Bean came out and Sammy Bean is about a kid being bullied, because and like he's, actually Sammy Bean is the bully, but, it's a new kid in town that comes to the school named Monty King. And he comes to help the kids in the playground and make everybody more united, not get picked on. Because those are things I went through when I was growing up. Now the kids got all these computers and stuff. They ain't got to worry about the playground. They're probably on their smartphone. But back when I was in school, we didn't have I didn't have a smartphone. So it's just about you going outside and playing with somebody.
Being bullied on the smartphones.
There we go.
Being bullied on smartphones is way worse.
Oh, yeah.
It's way worse what's happening now. But yeah.
Yes, it is.
I have to ask you, though, just changing the subject slightly. I can hardly wait to hear about your dating card game, Dating Assassins. Tell us about it and why you created it.
Oh man. So 7 years ago, I was in a really bad relationship. And I realized that I did not ask the right questions. I didn't get to know him as a person. And I was, of course, meeting other people that were telling me similar stories about things they were going through. I was like, it was 2018. I said to myself, it would be cool if I can create a card game where people can get to know each other, but not make it all fluffy. Let's get down to the nitty gritty and assassinate their truth. That is my slogan, assassinate their truth, because facts are the enemy to the truth. So what is your truth? Because your truth, I could tell you a bold lie and it's not a fact. I'm just telling you my truth. So I said, okay, facts are the enemy to the truth, assassinate their truth. And basically it's 150 questions. So basically you would ask, your potential partner or current partner, 150 questions. And these questions ain't for the faint of heart. For people that's sensitive and don't want to tell you the truth, they're going to run away from the card game. They're going to say, why would you ask me this? Well, that's good. What's your problem? Why I can't ask you then? That's going to cause you to think. If this person can't answer this one question, then what's going on here? What are they hiding? And that gets you to dig deep down and see if that person's even compatible with you, because you want somebody that's going to tell you the truth. And if they're stumbling at the questions and they're not trying to answer and they're saying this is stupid, whatever, no, answer the question. Why can't you? So this question is like a litmus test to see if that, if that person is for you, before you marry them or get into a long term.
Is that how your card game improves relationships?
Yes.
I think you were talking about that. So tell us about how that works. How does that improve your relationship?
So it improves the relationship because if I go and ask someone, if I'm asking a guy, let's say I'm on not some people might use it on a first date, but I would say don't use it on the first date. Use it with someone you're actually interested in, that you want to go forward with, you think you want to go forward with. And you sit down with him or her and you ask these questions. You say, hey, I got 150 questions. I want to ask you these questions. I want to get to know you better. If I see you squirming and getting nervous and stuff, then I'm going to yell out, you've been assassinated. But it doesn't mean that the game is over. But I'm going to tell you, you've been assassinated because you were taking too long to answer the question. And sometimes people got to think of their answer, which is fine, but you can tell the difference. You can tell, well, some people, I don't know, but some people can tell the difference on if somebody's trying to hide something versus, trying to figure out how to answer the question. So basically that's how it gets down to the nitty gritty, because you're like saying, hey, do you have an STD? Right? Now, some people might not want to talk about that. Nothing's wrong with having an STD, but we need to know if you have it. So then we can know how to approach if I want to date you or if I don't want to date you. That's important to know. And if somebody's like, oh, do you have an STD? And he's like, have you been to the doctor? Do you go to the doctor? You know what I mean? Because if I'm on my health kick and I'm out here going to the doctor, getting my blood work drawn once a year, I'm doing what I got to do, and you're not healthy in general, like you're just like running around here, not even trying to take care of yourself, well, maybe we're not a good match,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's exactly what that's where it comes at, the determination. That's where you see. And and then there's some questions that can help like if you are with somebody, like
I'd love to ask you that. Can you give us a few examples of questions?
Like, I'm trying to think of some, because now it's like I should have my card game. I think do I have my box right here? Because I'm like thinking of a question that I could show. I'm like, oh, here we go. So it's actually 18 and up now, because I realized that 18-year-olds can play the game, but because you'll be surprised. Like my mom was telling me during COVID, a lot of people broke up that had been married for 10 years because they didn't even know the person's religion. So, so like for instance, one question is, what would you have liked to do but never accomplish? Stuff like that. Because what if, somebody wants to have children and, maybe the husband didn't want to have, maybe the guy she's with didn't want to have children. So you have to talk about these things, because you think but you don't know, because you think that you know everything and you don't. And some stuff like, do you drink alcohol? These are, you may already know this, but some people don't know. So these are questions, type of questions that help you vet that potential partner and see, what's going on. And then, you have other questions. Will you ever go to a nude beach and get naked? Stuff like that. because you want to know if that person would. And you might be with somebody for a long time and you never brought it up. And then maybe the lady wants to do that and the guy doesn't. Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you text and
Interesting.
drive? Yeah. So it's just very much. And if you do know about a lot of things about your partner already, like, then that means you passed the test. Let's think about it. Like, if you already know most of these, great. That means you passed the test. That means you did your work. Like, if you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be? Right? Because if you can change something about yourself, like, what would it be? Like, this is a question that maybe no one's ever discussed in their relationship, So those are the type of questions I have in here. And it's a whole bunch of them. But
That's fun.
Yeah.
I have a different thing. You've called yourself an abstract soul singer and said you have an unconventional approach to music. Can you tell us, first of all, what an abstract soul singer is in your view, and tell us about your work as a singer and songwriter?
So abstract soul singer is, I would say, avant-garde type artist. And if you heard of, like, a lot of people don't know about avant-garde, but it's almost like you're not following the rules. You're just making up rules as you go with your music. So you're not following this structure of four, was it four sets in the first piece of the song and then the chorus. Then you get four lyrics and then you're like saying, I'm gonna do what I want to do. So you might just sing a bar and let the music play. Then you might just rap a little bit, or you might maybe play a flute or whatever you want to do. It's like you just not following the rules, but it's art. Because I believe that music is art. It's not just about just doing a song to do it. To me, well, if you're a true artist and you're doing it for the love of it, it's about finding whatever sound makes you feel good at the time. And it might be anything that's not typical. And sometimes to some people that's used to a typical song, melodic song, they can be like, oh, what is this? And then some people will find it refreshing. So, and I think it's more of it's coming out now versus back when I started this at 20. So I see more people doing avant-garde type styles, going off singing off the normal path. So that's basically what that is. And then my music career, I've performed a lot in Atlanta. So I was performing at different bars, different cafes in Atlanta, Georgia. I had some stage fright for the longest time. So I could have performed more, but I did not. I had some stage fright and I had some insecurities from, just, family trauma, thinking I can't be a singer in my mind. So I kind of pushed that to the forefront, but I still performed in my 20s. I worked for Carnival Cruise Lines. I sung on there, but I realized a cruise boat was not for me. So I got off the boat. I don't like being on a boat that long. I cannot be on a boat past 2 weeks. At least not that type of situation.
And when you're performing, you really got to ride the boat through a lot of cruises, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
As the people get off, but you have to stay on there, right?
You have to stay, and you can go out sometime, but you have to come back at a certain time and you got to get up at a certain time. It's almost like a Navy or something. It was just not what I wanted. And one of the things that I want with music is freedom. I don't want to feel like dictated to, and I wasn't singing my own music. I was just singing cover songs, which is fun, but that's not what I wanted to do. So I had to
on that
stop
note,
doing that.
has anyone recorded your songs? Other artists recorded anything you've written?
Not that I know of. They haven't told me, and I haven't even tried looking it up.
I hope you would.
That's something cool. That's something great to bring up, because I need to look that up, because they have. Because I've had some people tell me, "Hey, I want to redo Bad Love War. Hey, I want to do Chocolate Man," and I would love to. I haven't. They didn't come back and tell me they did it, but I would love to know if they did. So I would definitely research that.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
That'll be your next project.
Oh
yeah,
no kidding. Well, it's your work is just beautiful, and I have to ask you, has your work as a songwriter and author helped you in deepening your own relationships and in creating dating assassins?
I think it did. I mean, because one of my mentors I used to have, she used to always tell me everything works together. Everything works within each other, twines in together. Because I felt guilty, like I said, going to get into tech. When I'm trying to do music, I felt like I was cheating on music. But honestly, they worked with each other. Tech got me more bold, more confident. I had to speak in front of a lot of men. It's male dominated, and I was a shy girl, so it kind of made me more bold. Like, oh, I can take on this. And then I was able to create better music, especially with Champion and Player Hater that came after the album, I felt like it made me more bold and strong with pushing the boundaries of what art should be. And now my new song that's going to be coming out soon called Whiskey, which is like a rock meets soul. It's going to be crazy because this, to me, Whiskey is the coming out, is my coming out of a decade of something, into a new me. So the song is going to be pretty crazy. It's, it's one song that it's taking me a minute to edit and stuff because I am creating the beat myself. This is the first time I'm doing the beat myself. Usually I'm getting the beat from someone else. This is my beat. So this is going to be crazy. So, and one of my things I'm focused on right now as an artist is sync licensing. I've had my music in some radio stations and stuff. But I want to get them into movies and stuff like that. So that's my focus right now.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, how difficult was it to get your album Limitless recorded and out to the universe? And how did you overcome the naysayers?
Ooh, I like that. Um, yeah, so it was weird. It was like a uncanny situation because when I had reached out to this producer, well, actually the producer reached out to me first. I was on a site called Reverb Nation, which a lot of artists are on, and I was like the top 5 artists in Atlanta all the time. I don't know. I thought this maybe Reverb Nation likes me. I don't know. I was always top 5. So he found me and he was like, "I want to work with you. I want us to work together." And I listened to some of his sounds. I said, his style matches what I'm trying to do. So I went out and worked with him and he let me be myself. He also gave me some vocal help and he really taught me different things. And at that point at 22, 23, when that album came out, I was shocked. I didn't know if it was going to happen because I was so, like I said, insecure from trauma, from family, and thinking that I can't do this. I can't make a career in this. There's so many great singers. Everybody can sing. What am I thinking? But this was like my mark on the world to show people that you can do it and be different and be yourself. You don't have to be Whitney Houston or anybody else, or Mariah Carey, because sometimes, people want you to act like if you're not singing this way, then you're not singing. But there's different styles of singing. I don't want to do what they're doing. And I love them, but I want to do what I'm doing because it's coming from my heart. So that's how I got over the naysayers. I just did it and put it out there. And that's that. And of course, a lot of times people don't really, if they don't see you on TV with Beyonce, they think you didn't do anything. But but I think that it's important to recognize that being independent has more power. For me, I realize that I like being on the low. I don't really need fame to do my music. I really enjoy just doing what I want to do, not having anybody trying to tell me what to do and all this got to be here. This, like, I just love this freedom right now. And so I just want other artists to believe that.
Well, how
You are
did you
very
overcome it?
gutsy.
Yeah,
are
you
very
really are. But
gutsy.
how did you
Yeah.
overcome it? I
Thank you.
mean, did you read some books that helped you, or did people tell you how good you were, and that's what helped you? How did you overcome the naysayers?
I think that's what happened. That makes sense because I did meet some people in the industry that couldn't, they might be under the big boy that could sign me, but they were helping me out and telling me like, be yourself or don't call here. Like, they were just motivating me. And a lot of other people I've met, like, especially I went to my first college, Orange to Atlanta, which I didn't finish because it was overly expensive. That's another story. I met so many great artists out there and they motivated me so much and told me and I was good and they support me. So I said, you know what, I can do this. And that's what gave me the balls because boy, oh boy, I was so scared, because even though I didn't have that big marketing budget, the fact that you put something out there it was still scary, but that's how I overcame it. And I read Paulo Coelho's book, The Alchemist, too. So before it came out,
yeah.
I read The Alchemist 2 times, and he was talking about how fighting your personal legend and that the universe conspires to help you make it. So anytime your mindset is thinking forward to a certain thought, like, okay, I got to get this done, somehow the people, the places, everything just lines up. And so that's at 2021, 22, I started working on my mindset. And that to me was number one before you do anything, because I realized that I wanted to have a good mindset, because if you get involved, if you do get in fame, if your mind is ready, you can handle anything. And I think that's what got me like, all right, I got this. And that's how everything came into place for Limitless, because it just wouldn't have happened if I had not read Paulo Coelho Alchemist and Think and Grow Rich, stuff like that. Those two books were just catalysts, man.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your podcast, and it's called Blu Alchemist Podcast.
Yeah.
Does that have anything at all to do with Paulo Coelho's book, The Alchemist? And also tell us a little about your podcast and why did you create it?
Well, Blu Alchemist Podcast is funny. You know, the first time I started a podcast, I was actually 23, and it was through Blog Talk Radio. That was an old school one before all this new fancy stuff came. And when I started talking, I just wanted to motivate somebody. I said, you know what? You know, I'm going through stuff. Let me just motivate somebody else. Maybe I can teach them something that they don't know. Maybe I can tell them something from my scars. And I started getting all this attention on there on Blog Talk Radio. And then I got scared and got off. So fast forward to now, like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I started getting back into it again. I said, let me start taking it seriously. But I still wasn't going ham at it, like going at it 100%. But I got back at it and I started telling my stories again. And it was kind of like the same way I feel with music, the same way with podcasting. A nicheless podcast. I can't just focus. I can't just veer into just talk about tech. Okay, great. I can do that. But just talk about music. I can't just do that. I have to, it's going to come out. I want to tell different people. So I was like, you know what? Blu Alchemist Podcast, we're going to talk about how you can turn your life around. You can change your world. You can change lead into gold. You can change your life by your thoughts and by, you know, who you're hanging around and stuff. And that's what I based the podcast premise on. So everything I talk about on Blu Alchemist Podcast is around that. Even if I talk about a movie, I'm still telling you a lesson from the movie to help your life. Because I think people fail to understand when you're niching down, it's like you are the niche. And I feel like you can still have that one message with different topics. And that's why I created this podcast, because I wanted somebody to avoid what I went through in the industry and things I've been through, my insecurities, all the things I've been through. I said, if I can help somebody avoid it and teach somebody something, then I've won before I died. You know, that's what I say.
Well, that's like our podcast, Late
I
Boomers.
was about to say that.
We try to do different people with different ideas, but all leading toward inspiration, change, and feeling good and moving
and motivation
on.
Yes.
Yeah. So that fits right in with what we're doing too. And I heard you've created a film about mental health.
Yes.
So what inspired you to do that?
Well, you know what? I probably didn't tell my story correctly, but I got into acting at 25 years old. I did 2 stage plays in Atlanta. I did a stage play called, well, actually, I don't even remember the name of the stage play, but I know I played a character named Michelle, and who had contracted HIV, and she was fighting, you know, for her life and stuff, and learning about her life. And that was my first stage play. My second one was a musical. So I was actually singing, it wasn't my own music, it was cover songs, but I still had fun singing it. And it was a full audience, and I said, I can act if I could do stage plays, because that's hard. But I was able to basically get some people to like it. I got people in the audience, like, they just seemed really into it. And then after that, I was like, I really want to act, but I was new to acting because I did music for so long. I didn't know what to do. And so at that point, I said, I want to do my own short film. So when I was in LA, I created Chloe versus Yaya. And basically it's about a young lady that has like a split personality disorder. She doesn't know that she turns into Yaya sometimes. So Chloe's this sophisticated lawyer. She's supposed to look like she has it together. And then you got Yaya that's like, like sassy and just messing with her and she turns into Yaya sometime with people around her. She doesn't know when she's turning into Yaya. And she's denying that she's turning into Yaya because she wants to look like she's got it together, and she doesn't. So that's why I created Chloe versus Yaya. I was trying to, you know, I was going to raise funds for it because I wanted it to be a full film and get all the bells and whistles, but it was entirely expensive in LA. I was living by myself in a studio apartment, and there was no way I couldn't afford the type of film I wanted to do. So I had to just do a short film. And I was very proud of it. A lot of people like it. I use it now as my audition demo for auditions now. So a lot of so that's a good thing. But I definitely
you're in it too. You star in it too.
I star in it. That's me. I starred in it,
Great.
and I wrote my own
Congrats.
script. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was just
Congratulations on that. That's great.
Yeah.
yeah, because I realized actors got to start taking in their own. Because I've met so many actors in LA struggling. I'm talking about people was trying to move into my studio apartment. I mean, it was crazy. People didn't have a place to live. They were just trying to make it, and I'm just like, sometimes we got to build our own table. Like if you start, and I know it's expensive, but if you start doing your own films, eventually that'll help you out at least. And everybody's not a boss. Everybody's an entrepreneur. So I'm not saying that's for everybody, but for somebody that has the capability to be a writer or, do their own thing and push their own films. That to me is cool because now you have Tubi TV now where you can put your own movies on Tubi and, you can get it seen. So, it's just a matter of, focusing or figuring out which way you want to go with it. But that changed my life. I mean, it really did.
Whoa. Is there anything personal
Yeah.
about it that you wrote, or is it really just something that occurred to you about someone you had seen or in the stage play?
It just came to me. I was watching, what was I watching? I think Split. So I was watching the movie Split. It was a movie with, not based off Bruce Willis because it was Bruce Willis wasn't in that one, but I can't remember what the movie was called, with Bruce Willis and Samuel Jackson. I can't remember it, but it was really good. So they did a sequel to it called Split, and the guy from Wanted, the main character from Wanted, played this guy with multiple personalities. I thought his acting was superb, so I said I want to do something like this. So I basically got it from Split. Just most of my songs and movies are from TV. And people always say, "Don't watch movies and shows; it's a waste of time." No, for an artist, it has helped me come up with material. Like my song "Champion" was from Paulo Coelho's book 11 Minutes. I read his book
Really?
11 Minutes, and somehow Champion just came to me. It wasn't about my experience or anything. It just came from the book.
Great.
Wow. That's great. Well, tell me something. What is most important for an artist, and for that matter, for all of us, in caring for ourselves and our health?
Let's see. So to me, it's about having confidence and believing in yourself and knowing that if you go a different direction and someone doesn't like something, it doesn't mean that it's bad. It's something for everybody, and you should have confidence and put it out and stand 10 toes down with it because it's your project. You believe in it. And also just keep good people around you. If somebody doesn't believe in what you're doing, don't tell them anything else. Stop walking into the lion's den. That was my flaw. I kept walking into the lion's den in my early 20s. Don't walk into the lion's den. Don't say anything at all. Still keep a relationship as family, be cool with them. But you don't have to tell them about your career, your music and stuff if they don't believe in it. And just keep a healthy mind. Just read good books. Read books that are motivational. It's going to help you move the needle forward and work out because it's important to work out. Like I've learned working out has helped me a lot. Not only does it tone you up, but it helps you think clearly.
Well, what would you like our audience to have as a takeaway today, in addition to those little nuggets you just dropped on us?
My takeaway today is I'm trying to think. What you think about becomes reality. So please, be careful with your thoughts. It's not easy. It's not easy for anybody because this world's crazy. But what you think about, it does become reality. So pick your thoughts like you pick your clothes, like they say in Eat, Pray, Love in the movie Julia Roberts that I love. Pick your thoughts like you pick your clothes every day because it is a process. Every day I am choosing my thoughts to ponder on. I'm like, nope, that's not going to be a thought I'm going to think about today. And I push it away. Every day it's a thing. And I'm okay with that.
Thank you for reminding us of that because I really try to do that. I think that's very important because otherwise your thoughts start going down a rabbit hole. You start following a bad thought and another bad thought pops in, and you have to then step out of it and say, I have better things I can think about. I can direct my thoughts. And I think a lot of people haven't learned that skill yet. And it takes so much practice to do that.
It does.
So thank you for telling us again. I love when people remind me of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
And I want to leave out, and before I go, I want to say whiskey. Check it out. Whiskey on my mind as I toast to a new me.
Oh, I love it.
That's
I
good.
will check it out.
Oh,
I will check it out.
absolutely. And
Whiskey, I
everything
love the title. Easy to remember.
and
Thank you.
champion.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, they're great. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Sequoia. Our guest today has been the multifaceted, multi-talented Sequoia Blue. She's an abstract soul singer and songwriter, author, filmmaker, host of the Blu Alchemist podcast, and creator of the exciting new card game, Dating Assassins. You can reach her on all social media platforms and check out her music as well. And also her website, siquoiablue.com. And she spells it differently. It's SIQUOYIABLUE.com. And go to datingassassins.com to purchase her card game. Thank you so much, Sequoia.
Thank you.
And we want to thank all our listeners for watching us on our Late Boomers podcast YouTube channel and for giving us those 5-star reviews on your favorite podcast platforms. We appreciate you so much. We wish you happy holidays and we look forward to hearing from you on Instagram or our website, LateBoomers.biz. Thanks again, Sequoia.
Thank you. So grateful.
Thank you for joining us on Late Boomers, the podcast that is your guide to creating a third act with style, power, and impact. Please visit our website and get in touch with us at LateBoomers.biz. If you would like to listen to or download other episodes of Late Boomers, go to ewnpodcastnetwork.com.
This podcast is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and most other major podcast sites. We hope you make use of the wisdom you've gained here and that you enjoy a successful third act with your own style, power, and impact.